Our main character, Beryl, is in his 40s and had a dream to become a master swordsman and unlock special powers. But life had other plans. Instead, he became an instructor at a small dojo in a village. He trained students from nearby villages, keeping his family's swordsmanship legacy alive. Many of his students have made names for themselves, and thanks to that, he feels content with his slow-paced life. His parents, however, are not satisfied. They want him to marry and give them grandkids to spoil. Beryl struggles to explain that he's an incel who can't get a girl even if he tried. One day, while they're eating lunch and nagging him about marriage, there's a knock at the door. Beryl quickly goes to open it, glad for the distraction, only to find his former student Alusha standing there. He invites her in, and she informs him she's just been promoted to commander of the Royal Knights. Impressed, Beryl listens as she explains that she also teaches swordsmanship to the knights and recommended him as a special instructor for the Royal Knight Order, an offer the imperial family accepted. Still confused, Beryl is shown his official appointment letter, complete with the imperial seal. He thinks it's some kind of April Fool's joke, but his dad reads the letter and finds that refusal could result in punishment. Alusha then mentions her carriage is outside and that they can reach the capital in one day. Beryl hesitates, but his dad encourages him to go and find a good wife, joking that he should try dating Alusha. While Beryl dismisses the idea due to their age gap, Alusha would totally let him hit. In the end, he has no choice but to go with her. On the way, Beryl notices that Alusha still carries the sword he gave her when she graduated. He comments that such a plain sword no longer suits a Royal Knight commander. Alusha insists it's the only sword she'll ever use, and Beryl assumes it's out of respect for him as her master. Still, he feels unworthy of the title Special Instructor. Alusha starts gushing about how excited she is. She tells Beryl that he's already a legend among swordsmen because so many of his students reached elite levels. He's been nicknamed the Backwater Swordmaster, though she hates the name. Beryl doesn't mind. He doesn't even think he's a decent swordsman, let alone a master. After a long ride, they reach the capital. Alusha takes him to an inn for the night. The next morning, she brings him to her knight order and introduces him to the knights as her master, stronger than even she is. Beryl panics at the over-the-top intro but gives a short, humble speech. Alusha explains that he'll only be teaching on Sundays, his usual day off from the village dojo, so it shouldn't be too much of a change. Just then, another knight rushes up, calling Beryl master. He recognizes her as Kuruni, one of his most hard-working former students. He praises her, saying she's become the knight she always dreamed of being, and she says she's excited to learn from him again. Later, Beryl returns home and is surprised to find another of his former students, Randrid, waiting. Randrid has brought his wife and baby with him. Beryl's father suddenly announces that Beryl is no longer needed in the village and should settle in the capital to teach full-time and find a wife. Beryl is stunned, but Randrid explains they moved to a peaceful village after having a child, and he's left his adventurer job despite being top-ranked. Since he knows their teaching style well, he can now take over the dojo. Realizing he's been outmaneuvered by his dad's cunning plan, Beryl agrees to let Randrid handle the dojo while he stays in the capital. The next day, he shares the news with Alusha while house hunting. She suggests he live with her, but Beryl quickly shuts it down, and her hopes along with it. To change the subject, she suggests lunch. Just then, someone insults Alusha for being with a man instead of doing her job. Beryl hides his face, embarrassed that she's getting flack because of him, but Alusha shrugs it off, calling the woman stupid. The red-haired woman angrily follows them and even pulls down Beryl's map to see his face. His eyes catch her black adventurer plate first, but when she sees him, she goes silent and suddenly calls him master. Beryl has no idea who she is until she reminds him she's Sherna, the orphan he once trained. It's been 20 years. Beryl finally remembers and notes how much she's changed. Sherna apologizes for not reaching out sooner, but Beryl understands. Life gets busy. Then she bluntly asks why he's with someone like Alusha. Offended, Alusha clarifies that Beryl is the Knight Order's special instructor, and she's helping him find a house. Sherna claims she can help more, since she works as a part-time broker. Beryl decides to stay out of the argument. Shurna helps him find a good rental, and Beryl asks both women to get along. The next day, Alusha brings him to the training grounds. She tells everyone to line up, but her vice commander Henbritz steps forward to challenge Beryl to a duel. Alusha accepts on Beryl's behalf before he can respond. Now, he can't refuse. As he prepares, the knights murmur that he doesn't look strong enough to teach them. Beryl silently agrees. Henbritz says Alusha only respects Beryl too much, and he intends to correct her mistake. Alusha gives the signal, and the duel begins. Henbritz charges, swinging wildly. Beryl dodges, then barely redirects his blade, landing a hit on Henbritz's chin. Concerned he might have gone too far, Beryl steps back. They return to their positions, and this time, Henbritz uses full power. Beryl realizes Henbritz is faster and stronger, but his moves are easy to read and redirect. Frustrated, Henbritz unleashes his ultimate spinning attack, only to find Beryl behind him, tapping his shoulder with his sword. Stunned, Henbritz admits defeat and becomes Beryl's biggest fan. He treats Beryl to dinner to apologize for his earlier rudeness, praising him non-stop. Curious, he asks how Beryl dodged his spinning attack. Beryl explains he matched the spin and used it against him. He adds that if Henbritz were less rigid, he might have won. The vice commander gets excited to learn more from him in the future. Soon after that, Beryl starts teaching the knights seriously. While showing two knights how to use their opponent's focus to close the distance, everyone gathers to listen. Beryl feels it's just common sense from experience, but the attention makes him a bit uncomfortable. After the session, Henbulet offers him a towel. Beryl remembers how intense their first spar was, but thanks to that match, he's earned everyone's respect. Suddenly, Karuni runs over and offers to show Beryl around the city if he's free. He agrees, and Henbulet also encourages him to explore. Meanwhile, Alusha is submitting her weekly report to royal officials, who are curious about the new special instructor. She proudly tells them that Beryl has already surpassed expectations. Afterward, she finds herself thinking back to when she first met Beryl, after her family moved to a nearby village and enrolled her in his dojo. She was shy then, but Beryl seemed kind and trustworthy. His training focused on making her whole body stronger and more efficient. She didn't understand it at first, but kept going because he always praised her efforts. By the end of the year, she could feel the difference. One day, Beryl sparred with his two best students, Randrid and Alusha, to test their progress. When it was her turn, she couldn't find an opening, but when he shifted his arm slightly, she attacked, only to be instantly defeated. Beryl praised her timing, calling it good instinct. She didn't fully understand, but soon he took his students to another dojo to compare skills. Alusha found her opponent sloppy and beat him easily. The others also won their matches. On the way back, she asked if their dojo was too strong. Beryl told her not to worry about winning or losing, just to keep learning. Later, she realized she had forgotten her hairpin and ran back to get it, but the other students were waiting for revenge. They told her she'd have to fight for the hairpin, and when she refused, they attacked. Luckily, Beryl arrived just in time, taking the blow meant for her. He quickly disarmed the group, picked up her hairpin, and tried to leave. But the leader tried to attack him from behind, only to be stopped by his own teacher. The teacher scolded his students and apologized, saying they lost because of their lack of skill and could never beat Beryl. Beryl brushed it off, saying it was no big deal. On the way home, Alusha stared at the hairpin and apologized for getting him hurt. Beryl told her it was fine and said he should have gone with her from the start, but he was glad she wasn't injured. Her eyes welled up. Later, Alusha sparred Beryl again and used his own technique against him, landing a point. Both were shocked, but Beryl acknowledged that he couldn't teach her anything more. He gave her a real sword as a graduation gift. Though she didn't want to leave, she accepted it. After leaving, she went to the capital to prove her master's skills. She crushed the Knight Order exam, easily defeating her opponents, even the examiners. None of them were close to Beryl's level. She joined with full marks and quickly rose to commander. No one in the order matched her master, and when she earned her promotion, she recommended him as a special instructor and brought him to the capital. Now, after 10 years, she sees he's become even sharper and stronger. Back in the present, Alusha heads to the training hall and sees the knights practicing. Henbritz tells her what Beryl taught them today, and that Karuni is currently giving him a tour of the city. Alusha feels a stab of jealousy. She wanted to show him around herself. Meanwhile, Beryl is impressed by the city when a magician named Feis suddenly calls out to him. She calls him Master, but he doesn't recognize her until she shows him the graduation sword he once gave her. He's shocked by how much she's changed. Karuni appears and explains that Feis is now a powerful wizard in the magic division. Beryl is stunned. He never even knew she had magical potential. Feis casually creates a fireball to prove it. Beryl is amazed. Only the most talented become wizards. Though a little sad she's set aside swordsmanship, he's proud of her growth. Suddenly, a thief steals a woman's purse nearby. Beryl and Karuni are about to give chase, but Feis steps in. She draws her sword, infuses it with magic, and launches a flying slash that wraps around the thief's legs, tripping him. Karuni arrests him, and Feis proudly explains that she's fused swordsmanship with her magic, creating her own unique combat style. Beryl feels even more proud of her. The next morning, Beryl goes out for a walk and hears someone call his name. A young girl addresses him, and he asks if she's lost. Offended, she introduces herself as Lucy, the commander of the Magic Corps. Beryl still thinks she's just a kid messing around, until she creates a massive fireball on the spot. Now convinced, he listens as she invites herself to join his walk. She says Feis told her all about him and how skilled he is. Beryl humbly replies that he's just a country bumpkin, but Lucy doesn't buy it. She leads him to an open space, saying she's obsessed with improving her magic and needs a strong opponent to test herself. Without warning, she attacks. Beryl dodges thanks to sharp reflexes, and draws his sword, realizing Lucy's dead serious. If you enjoyed this recap, make sure to check out the next one on your screen. And don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Goodbye.